Good morning. This is the Friday Fireside, and I'm here with Jo Kinsella, the president of TVSquared. Jo, how are you doing?
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me on. Great to see you. Love the shirt.
Okay. Yeah, well, there you go. All right. And so does my grandson. Thank you very much. All right. So now you just told me you're between the ocean and the bay in New Jersey. Not an entirely bad place to be working, right?
Not a bad place to be working. And actually, I have been in my daughter's bedroom using this as an office, and this is week 19.
And what does your daughter think of you using her bedroom as an office?
She's very unhappy about it. And actually, since the school break started, I have to sit downstairs and be quiet until she wakes up. So, trust me, it's not stressful for her.
All right. So anyway, tell us a little bit about TVSquared. What do you guys do, and sort of what do you do there? You do everything from at the beach. I gotta keep saying that. Okay.
Yeah, you just got to keep rubbing it in.
I'm going to keep rubbing it in for everyone.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so what do we do? And maybe this is a good opportunity, Rick, to kind of, reset in the market. I think, TVSquared is very well known for measurement and attribution globally. Yes. I think many people know of us having a short-term spike model, which we've used in 76 countries now for the last 7 years, which was actually a really good way to start, because back in the day, pretty much no one had anything on how to measure TV. So that's where we started. What we've done in the last few years is we've added on really complex data sets. So we use ACR data in Japan. We use set-top box data in the UK with Sky. We can talk a little bit more about that. We use Inscape data here in the US. We've tagged just north of 50 publishers now to do full impression-based measurement and attribution. So we've expanded massively over the last 2 to 3 years, where not only are we measuring local cable, but we're also doing full streaming, CTV, OTT, leveraging set-top box data, deterministic modeling. So I feel like COVID has actually helped the industry in the sense that it has forced everybody to have a new appreciation for what is the return on investment from television, and really need to lean in and say, I need to be able to measure this, and I need to be able to understand how it's driving my business, because in times of crisis, we need to be able to account for every dollar. So for us, business has been really good, knock on wood. I am very thankful to say, during this time of the pandemic. And here we are, hoping for, an election year. We're hoping for this big springback budget. And people are going to insist upon proof of performance and measurement at scale that we've never seen before. So it's really exciting for us.
All right. So who are your primary clients?
Great question. Everybody, buy side, sell side. We work on the enterprise side. We have big clients like Comcast and other network broadcasters and local cable broadcasters, MVPDs. We have that whole section. We have a brand direct business where we work with brands who want to measure TV in 25 countries.
Right.
We have a ton of independent agencies who use it for competitive advantage to win, retain, and grow. And then we have an advanced TV business, which is DSPs, SSPs, identity, and all of the publishers like the Hulus, the Rokus, and everybody else on that list that you are more than familiar with.
All right, so you're primarily measuring advertising.
We're measuring everything except the walled gardens. So, but TV, right? So TV advertising across the mix, whether it's addressable, linear, spot cable, national broadcast, whatever it is, CTV, OTT. We recently put out the news that we've partnered with MediaMath to do all of their CTV measurement. And we have other contracts that we can't speak about yet. But, you know, the idea is everybody should be able to prove whether an ad is working. And when I say working, is it driving a response to a website? Is it actually higher up the funnel consideration and intent goals? Is it business outcomes? Is it impression delivery? Is it reach and frequency? Is it reach extension? Everybody should expect that they can have a platform that can answer all of those questions. Why would you buy something if you cannot prove that it's working?
All right. So, well, the answer to that is because I always did, and I'm too lazy to change. Sorry, I didn't say that to anybody who's actually in the advertising bind.
No, you absolutely did. And
but
you
it's
and I
true.
both know
it is
that
true.
We've seen more change in the last 2 years than we've probably seen in the last 200. But to your point, everybody started from a place of, well, never been able to measure it. Just trust my gut. It'll be fine. But actually now more and more people are coming to this with a digital mindset. They're either a direct-to-consumer brand or they've had to flip to be e-commerce overnight because of COVID. So now more and more they expect data, they expect analysis, they expect it close to real time, and that's what we bring.
Let's talk about the e-commerce piece because it's really interesting. As I mentioned when we got started, there's an assumption that, and we'll talk about Sky, by the way. We'll come back to Sky. There's an assumption. I know. There's an assumption that Q3 sees a bit of a rebirth of advertising, and my friends tell me that advertising tends to precede retail. If you don't get the people interested, they're not going to go to the store, and so there's this thing. But now when we are in a very, very virtual world, and we're not driving them to the Macy's store, we're driving them to the Macy's website. I would assume that it's easier for you to find out whether I went to the website than to find out whether I drove to the store, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we have better attribution, better proof of delivery and action because of that. So here is a question for you, and this is outside of your comfort zone, but you know, it's what I do. If there was a way that I could be watching on television, and rather than knowing that I saw Macy's.com and I went to my phone and did Macy's.com, we have played with, and in point of fact, the iTV Doctor was founded on the belief and hope that we'd eventually find a way to get a handshake between the TV set and the phone, right? And so that the ad and the link that I say on the TV set messages me on my phone, or something happens on my phone. We've tried different ways to do that, none of which work. We've tried codes on the TV, QR codes, and there's some other ones that get there. Can't we, I mean, you're looking at all this stuff. Can't we find a way to make this click really easy for the consumer? Like one motion, I saw it, it's there, you know, and not on the TV per se, but on something that I can work with.
Well, I think we can prove like cross-platform, cross-device if somebody took an action, right? So we know that, I forget the latest from VAB or from Magna, but the percentage, the very high percentage, 90%, 85, I think it was 87% of the population is watching TV with a second screen.
By definition.
Right.
They're not necessarily doing anything that relates to what they're watching on TV, but they've got the device in their hand.
So what we're doing is we're looking at when a TV spot airs, whether it's an impression, whether it's a good old-fashioned spot cable, whether it's local broadcast, national broadcast, we're looking at, did somebody take an action?
Okay, and are you looking at that in the macro that the ad ran at 8:19 and 30 seconds p.m. on the East Coast, and there was a spike in the Macy's.com website? Is that the simple answer to that?
That's the absolute simple answer to that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's one that even dummies like me can understand. I get that.
Right. So was there an app that was downloaded? Was there in-app activity? You know, surprisingly enough, people are doing a lot of dating during lockdown, even though they can't meet up. They're downloading the app. There's in-app activity. Food delivery has gone through the roof. Our food delivery companies have grown 100% in COVID, right? So
Instacart is insane that way.
Instacart is insane, but we see. And we can tie either an impression from whatever streaming service it came from, and we can see if that person in the household took an action. If you then add the identity layer, and we're working with a ton of the identity companies where we can look at household, we can have a device graph and do an individual level match, we can actually then see who took the action. But the whole idea is that you air a creative. And did somebody do something? Ultimately, we want to put the power back with the advertiser to sell more of their product. That way, buy side and sell side both win.
Okay, so technically,
Yes.
I could have gone to Macy's.com at 8:19 p.m. on the Eastern time, just because I went there. I didn't necessarily see the ad. So you don't know that the ad drove me there. You just know that I went there.
I know that you went there, but as well, I know what time the ad aired.
That's right.
Every single Macy's spot. So I can correlate that. But as well, now that we have deterministic data set, if you want to use the language, we can see the short-term lift and we can see the longer-term impact. And
let's talk about longer-term or medium-term. So I see advertising, it has a cumulative effect on me. And I'll do something more interesting than Macy's. I'll do that new Toyota Tacoma truck that I've been interested in, okay? I see the ad a bunch of times, right? And you don't know that I saw the ad, but all of a sudden you know that I went to the website. But I might have gone to the website not having just seen the ad. I might have gone to the website because I finally got in my truck and it didn't start this morning and I got to get a new truck. You can't actually measure a cumulative impact on me, the viewer, right?
We have another product that measures the longer term impact of TV. So yeah, so what I'm saying is, just as my little girl walks in,
that's fine.
Live video. She just brought me food. Like,
well, now that's nice.
This is a nice thing. Thank you, Molly. She's like, oh, Mom, sorry. So effective last week or the week prior, I recorded a podcast last week with Melissa and James from Effective. We did, and Rick, it's a great point. We all know that TV has this massive halo effect, right? We did a report with Effective talking about the longer term impact of TV. It's based on our ad effect product. We have hundreds of advertisers on now via Effective, and a huge percentage of that are automotive clients. And so much now, 2/3 of the car buying journey, the research is done online. So to your point, yeah, you saw an ad and it just reminded you, you know what, I've been thinking about going and test driving this car and I'm going to go and do research online. So what we've been able to do is leveraging the data and analysis that we've done already with Comcast and with Effective, is look at what's the longer term impact. And what we've been able to see, the results in the report that came out 2 weeks ago, is that about 30% increase in people who stay on, right? So who are not, a lot of automotives, they kind of advertise just the last 2 weeks of the month that, they're bursting. What we were able to show is for those that stay on and are consistent in their creative and in their messaging, they have a much higher longer term impact effect, if you will, than if they're just bursting. So we're able to now pull that sort of analysis and insight. Plus, now we've got much bigger data sets than we had 5 years ago. We can actually look at what the longer term impact of TV is, so that you can get a measurement over time. You can look at recency effects and you can slice and dice the data of any characteristic that you want to say, okay, how did my campaign perform? And that can be short-term lift, but it can also be longer term brand effect that builds up over time. So now we're leaning into advertisers that are saying, we want to give you a year's worth of data. Tell us what, the overall impact is, as well as what did Rick do when he saw that spot for his Toyota truck.
I love that. All right. So now I promised you, while I'm keeping you away from your lunch, but tell us about Sky. Tell us. Look, she came to pick up your dishes too. I mean, room service, kid. This is awesome. Tell us about Sky. Tell us about Sky.
This is when my audience are like, gone are the days of the perfectly prepared on stage looking the part. Now it's just like, Rick, I've got no idea what's going to happen. Like the cat is going to jump on my head in the next 10 minutes.
There you go. All right. Tell us about Sky.
All right, Sky. So as you guys know, Sky is obviously owned by Comcast, the Comcast family. Sky is the future. Okay, so Sky is true cross-platform measurement and attribution. The value prop that we've put together with them is what everybody should be doing, and many of our relationships are now calling us, going, okay, like we've been talking for a long time, and you and I touched on this at whatever event it was that we were at, when people talk about what we could do with analytics and measurement for TV as a future state. And I'm like, but we're doing it now, right? So this is a classic example of, we are doing this today at Sky and the early results are fantastic. What are we doing? Digital video, linear, and addressable, all measured in a single place.
Sweet. All right. So now I would assume that somebody, when they see this, they can click on your LinkedIn name, which I'll put up at the top, and you can send them an excruciating amount of detail, such that you're allowed to share it, from what you're learning from Sky, right?
Yes. So just let me round out that point, because I think it's really important, and it touches on what we were saying beforehand. It enables brands to measure low and mid funnel consideration and intent goals. Okay. So it's not just like short-term lift. Did this happen? It's low and mid funnel consideration intent goals. It links TV exposure to online response, and it directly helps you understand the customer journey, because when you leverage Sky's household level data, you are uncovering audiences that you perhaps were not aware were interested in your product. Right. So what we're doing is, where this is audience powered marketing at scale, leveraging set-top box data. Did you activate an audience that you had not previously activated? And therefore you can lean into that and drive more sales. But the simplicity of being able to measure addressable, digital, and linear all in one platform with TVSquared. It's a new solution, and it's the future of how TV measurement and attribution needs to be done. So we're super excited.
I like that. All right, so we are about done. I'm going to hit the stop button here in a minute, but I wanted to thank my guest, Paris Hilton. Jo Kinsella. For anybody who doesn't know, I once had a picture. I was working on LinkedIn on my phone, and somewhere I saw Paris Hilton sitting on a panel. It was a long shot. And there's this very attractive blonde sitting there in a crowd of people, and I thought it was Jo. So,
well, listen, I'll take the Paris Hilton reference, because, if only I had her money, I would not be currently recording this fireside chat about measurement and attribution. I'd be sitting on a yacht.
Yeah, so, but you have room service, so you gotta like that. All right, Jo Kinsella, thank you very, very much, and this will air on Friday.
Thanks, Rick. Good to see you. Take care, everyone.